You're having a hard time. I get it. It's totally tough. The number one way that we influence another human being, let me just kind of metaphor this for 1 second. When you watch a hypnotist, and hypnosis is fun, anybody can learn to do it. It's a pretty easy thing. So it looks very dramatic, but one of the things you'll see me do at the beginning of that is like, go ahead and give me your hand, and I'll hold their hand for a second, like put both hands out like this, and then flip them over. That's great. Now just to test your eyes really quick, look all the way up and look all the way down, look all the way left, look all the way right. All right, then spread your feet a little further apart, a little closer together. Actually, no, face this way. Now I'm gonna make them do like 50 things. None of the things that I just did with them are meaningful. None of them. Everything was micro compliance. So this is how social media starts roping you in. This is how politics starts roping you in. This is how cult leaders will recruit you into a cult. Micro compliance. And you don't realize that you're going through this massive amount of compliance. So like you go through a doctor's physical and they go through like this 90-point checklist. They've made you do 50 things, and then they recommend a weird drug, or they recommend you get on some other drug. Take some time to think about it, because our brain is hardwired for these micro compliances. So I say this to say that if you're going through any of these things and you're trying to change your beliefs, or you're trying to change something in your body, use what works for brainwashing and figure out a way that you can get micro compliance with your own goals on a very regular basis. Small little wins, so your brain has that, just like hypnosis, just like cult recruiting, just like brainwashing. Small little things at the very beginning. So everything in
perception shift.
Yeah.
What would you say to me?
So if somebody says something that is an idea that's far out there, I'll always acknowledge it. And I would say, like, every human being is different. And it's fascinating how many rods and cones we have in our eyes, how we all perceive things differently. And it's amazing when you see one thing that you might see something that's purple and I see the exact same thing. We may be seeing the identical color, but our brains are just interpreting it differently, or maybe we have a different word for it. And it's amazing how much we agree on, and we just don't realize how much aligned we are with a situation in life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I've never had to respond to somebody calling this guy purple, but if I can modify how you perceive a situation. So let's say we're at a business networking event and I walk up to you and I say, let's say I call out the script, openly call out the script. And I say, it's amazing how many people are just running the script of, I need to look like a business professional. I can't say anything that makes me look emotional. I can't say anything that's personal. I have to hand out a business card. I have to put on this persona. So I'm just openly saying the script that's running inside that person's head. And I'm making you aware of it, which means that I'm changing your perception of the situation. So anything I can get you aware of that's running inside of your own head, I can massively start transforming your behavior. And we'll get to, So one of the best things that you can learn when it comes to being able to shift context is setting the frame of what every interaction is and being the one to openly say what the frame is as the conversation starts. Let's say you're talking to a kid and it's a parent talking to a kid. The kid thinks they're in trouble. That's the context they have. And I need to shift their perception of our situation before I can change their context. So we sit down, we start the conversation, and I'm like, I'm so glad that we can have this talk in a calm way that is focused on learning instead of punishment. A massively transformed perception and context. So I've changed what this means and the definition of what's allowed here. So context gives us the final P, which is permission. So if I change your perception of a conversation, and you can do that right away, and if I'm entering into a negotiation and we start the room with, I'm glad that we could all come here for this, and I know both of us want to find common ground as fast as possible, and I suggest that maybe we even start there. So I'm setting a frame right from the very beginning.
So
if you go back to I think it was 1957, there's this guy running a stage hypnosis comedy show, where they bring people up on stage and make them do silly stuff. And one of the guys that's up on stage, he's knocked out and he's doing all this crazy stuff. He's an off-duty police officer. So he has a concealed handgun. But one of the skits in this, or one of the bits that this comedian does, he tells the people that all of you are sheriffs and you can't leave the stage, but everybody in the audience right here is rowdy. They're making lots of noise. You need to tell them to keep it down. So this starts, and the hypnotist says, now they're not even listening to you. They're not respecting you. And then he says, you can't leave the stage, but one of them's pulling out a gun. And this off-duty police officer pulls out his service weapon and starts firing into the crowd.
This is a true story.
True story.
Really?
Yeah. But is he a monster? Of course not, because context dictated what he would do. So if I can change context to where what I want you to do is just an automatic thing, I can make you do anything. The real skill is just being able to shift perception and context. If you can just shift perception and context, you can radicalize someone. In 1979, I think, there was a fire in Manchester in Woolworth's department store. And it was during the daytime. Doors were open. And it turned out that most of the people that died were in the restaurant. And the restaurant was right by the door. So the fire inspector looked, and they were trying to figure this out. And a psychologist finally came along and said they died because they were waiting to pay their bill, because no one gave them permission to kind of stand up and walk out. No one did it first. So they kind of just went along with the crowd. And in the context of a restaurant, you don't stand up and walk out until you've paid your bill. So the context can also lead us into something like that. So the perception of the situation, even though there's a fire, I'm locked in context of I'm sitting in a restaurant. And that's been tested time and time again, where people will sit in a smoke-filled room long enough to die just because and if you watch the media, especially the opinion side of the media, and they talk about a politician that they don't like, what do they start out with? This is going to scare you. In another piece of terrifying news, here's what this guy did today up on the stage, this politician did. So they set the frame for it to be terrifying. They're setting up your perception from the very beginning. And then if I change the context, in one context, yeah, maybe this politician's a bad guy. Another context is this person is a threat to democracy.
I've heard that phrase a lot.
A lot. And and what do we do to threats to our entire democracy? We kill them. So we start radicalizing people instantly without them really even processing that they're. Let's talk about how to manipulate your next podcast guest into being more open-minded.
Okay.
And this technique is something we teach called negative dissociation. And the way that it works is I'll make a small, it should sound like an observation about the world. So in our discussion, let's say we just sat down and I'd say, you know what, I'm glad I'm interviewing with you. There's a lot of people out there that are just so closed off and locked in these little rigid beliefs. And I'm not sure whether it is they're just terrified of what people are going to think about them if they step outside the lines, or if they're scared of being open-minded for these other beliefs. I'm not sure which one it is, but I mean, you meet these people so often. And you're going to nod. You nodded your head while we were saying that, because what I'm saying. So if I wanted you to focus on me more, I'd do the opposite of the negative dissociation thing. And remember, I'm not talking about you. Because if I'm sitting here saying, oh, Stephen, you pay attention so well in a conversation, that sounds super weird and manipulative.
People say that to me all the time.
Yeah, maybe they want you to. In reality, if I do the opposite of what that negative dissociation statement did, and I make a positive group of people and assign an attribute to them. So that's how you would do this. So it's like, Stephen, it's amazing. Every time I meet these really high-performing CEOs, all of these Fortune 100 companies that I work with, you sit down with one of these CEOs, it's like they all have the exact same quality. You sit down with these people and they stop what they're doing and they just completely tune in to other people when they talk to them. So I'm taking a quality that I know you admire, like CEOs, all this kind of stuff, and I'm assigning a trait to that. And you're going to nod and that sounds kind of true, but it also means that you're agreeing that you are also that type of person. But I'm never saying it about you. So this is, if I'm talking directly about you, which is what so many influence people teach out there, they're like, oh, I can tell that you this, or I can tell that you're the kind of person that blank and blank and blank. This is called aiming language. My language is aimed at you, and you can feel it, and people can feel that there's something going on if somebody's sitting there making guesses and weird assumptions about them. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. I am the kind of person that goes to the gym is a much more powerful identity-based action. And identity is the number one thing in the world. When it comes to persuasion and influence, there's basically, the way that I teach this to intelligence people is when you're good at influence, you're building two walls. One wall is anxiety, and the other one is cognitive dissonance. And the hallway that you're creating is the relief from those things.
What are those two things? So I know what anxiety is, but what's cognitive dissonance?
Well, the anxiety is like, if I don't do what I say, I'm going to I'm going to face social rejection. Or if I go here and I break this rule, or I don't do this, I'm going to break a social contract with somebody. The cognitive dissonance is, I am the kind of person that does this, and if I don't do this, I'm not keeping with who I said I am and who I agreed to be. And I'm facing cognitive dissonance. So that's like when some politician wins into the hallway every time they bump up against something that they've previously agreed to. And identity is the way that you can hack your own behavior so fast. And the way that I explain this to people, it takes 30 seconds to understand it. If you were an Olympic athlete and you had a badass body, like you had a healthy diet, everything was in perfect shape, you woke up every morning, you had great energy and all that stuff, and one day you woke up for some reason and you're 295 pounds. And you wake up and you look in the mirror and something weird happened overnight. How fast would you get back to that body? It would be lightning. You may set world records for weight loss because your identity is with that body. It's not that, oh, I want to lose this weight so I can be healthy. It's, this is not me. And anytime you're feeling this is not me, or this is against who I am as a person, it's the most powerful motivator when it comes to influencing other people and influencing ourselves. You can get them to covertly make an I am statement in their head. You're hacking your way into that person's identity. So like, let's say you said that, they nodded, and then maybe a few minutes later, you're like, I got a confession to make. I had social anxiety growing up. How did you get this open about everything? Have you always been this way, or was this through some kind of like leadership training or something like that you went to? And the moment you answer that question, I've got you to commit. Now you're fully committed to being wide open for the rest of the conversation.
What would you assume they would then say in such a scenario?
They're like, I don't know. I think I've always been really open. I haven't been really scared about what people think about me, and I've always tried to wear my heart on my sleeve. So now you're getting to make all these commitments.
That they're going to be like that going forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're not permanently changing a human being, but it's a temporary change that they will make for one little compartment of an interaction with you.
And is this because you're speaking to their identity, their sense of who they want to be? And that's heavily driven by social perception and what I think of them. Yeah,
but it's not who they want to be. It's who they say they are. And those are different. So, Bob Cialdini's got a great example of this. They got these people to stick signs in their yard, these giant, ugly, "Are you as a person?" And they said, all right, thank you so much for that. And just to show your support, could you put this tiny, small sticker in the window of your house facing the street? And they're like, yeah. And they go stick it on the window. But they're more likely to do it because they just said yes. But anyone who said, yes, I support safe driving, a week later would stick that giant, stupid-looking sign in their front yard. And
it's one of the things I think about a lot when I talk on stage.
Yeah.
Is I know I'm competing with your mobile phone. your Twitter feed or your TikTok. So I have to do something almost like every 10 seconds to like catch you off guard. And Mr. Beast, I guess, is the great master of this, and it's probably why he's got 500 million YouTube followers. Because the minute that video starts,
you're hooked in. You're hooked. But this, I mean, that's the power of novelty. I would challenge anybody to take this challenge. If you're scrolling through short form content, watch for something that like jerks your attention, like some kind of weird novelty thing that happens. And that video is probably short, 20, maybe 40-second video that captures your focus through novelty. The next video, watch for an authority figure, a famous YouTuber, a celebrity, a politician, a pop singer who thinks that they know politics, all that kind of stuff. Watch for an authority figure. Next, watch for a tribe signal. So a tribe signal is going to be, here's how many people agree with this. Here's lots of people doing one thing. These tickets are selling out. Here's the Taylor Swift concert. Here's everyone cheering at the concert. Here's how you're supposed to behave, is basically what that means in the tribe section. You're supposed to do what these people are doing. And then watch for the emotion. So watch for this pattern. It'll be a focus generating novelty. Then it'll be authority. Then you'll see tribe. Then you'll see an emotional authority. They thought it was all about the authority, the lab coat, the guy's tall. It's a professional setting. But really think about, if you go back to our ancestors, like the most important resource to your ancestors was focus. There's nothing more important than focus. And the number one way to generate focus, if I don't have your focus, I can't command authority, right? So focus is always first. We have focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. Those are the four things that govern a mammal. All mammals, dolphins, doesn't matter. So I have to have focus before authority, and they didn't talk about that. And the way to get focus is through novelty.
Novelty meaning?
Something unexpected is occurring. So like if you walk past the same bush every day, 10,000 years ago, and your job is to carry fish from the river, and suddenly you walk past that bush and you hear a big ass stick snap. All of your focus, all of it is on that stick. It's not on your kids. It's not on your health. It's not on anything that's going on. It's to this new unexpected piece of information that hijacks our brain. Anything novel hijacks our brain. So if you see and it follows that pathway, focus, then authority, and then tribe, what's everybody else doing, and then emotion. Then how do I?
And I'm going to speak to someone on the right, someone on the left, up, down, left, right. I don't really, as long as I think I'm going to be able to have a conversation with them, I'm going to meet them as I find them, and I'm going to have a conversation with them. And there's really no external pressure that's going to change that. Yeah. Unfortunately, like I've had all the external pressure in the world, and I'm not going to change that because I have to do this myself for a long period of time. So the thing that's going to keep me in love with this job is to be able to follow my curiosity and not be trapped by anyone else's pressure. But that requires your audience as well to be open-minded, which means that if I sit here with Kamala Harris or with Donald Trump, I want my audience to come into the conversation with as an open mind as they things. The awareness is what you want. You want massive, like self-knowledge and self-awareness with the side agreement of I am not special.